So the first question for today is a really excellent question. In fact, I wrote about just this issue a little bit in my newsletter, which is going out on Friday. Stephanie sent in a question. She says, how do I know when I am at last finished? This is something that I think all writers have struggled with at one point or another. And it's not a simple answer. You know, there is no particular point, I think, at which you sit straight up in your chair and you can say with 100% confidence, yep, done. I put the last dot, the last cross, the last T, I'm completely finished. In fact, I think the opposite is more often true. More experienced writers who have written and published several books, I think, have a much stronger sense of when they're finished writing a book, when they feel the story has been completely actualized, when they've accomplished what they want to accomplish with their characters, or if it's nonfiction, with whatever their message is. But I think for the new writer, and even in the intermediate writer, I think sometimes it's very, very difficult to know precisely when one is done. But there are some things I think that can help guide you in learning to recognize when that time has come for you. So the first thing that I want to mention is my colleague, Harrison Demchik, actually wrote a really wonderful blog post all about this subject. It was called Why Gut Feelings Are a Writer's Secret Weapon. You can actually Google his name and that title, and it will come up. And one of the things that Harrison says in that post that I think is very useful and very true is that we have these gut instincts. You know, as human beings, as writers, we all sort of have a sense of certain things that I think in today's day and age we have a tendency to ignore or reason away more than we listen to it. And this is really a mistake, especially when it comes to a creative endeavor like writing. So, you know, when you're writing a manuscript, and let's say you've completed your draft in the sense of you've written the whole thing. You've gone from A to B to C, you've had your climax, you've had your denouement, resolution, and you are in some sense finished writing. So how do you know if the book really, it's not a question of whether or not it's finished. I think the question is really whether or not it's ready to be read by others, ready to see the light of day, so to speak. So the first thing is to listen to that instinctual sort of little niggling gut feeling that something's not quite right. I think that if you're seriously doubting whether or not you're finished, that's probably your first clue that in fact you are not finished. It says that most of us really know in our hearts when our work is not as good as it could be. You know, that we're capable of so much more. And I think that that's true. I think that as artists and as craftspeople, we are aware of our own limitations, and we are aware of that point where, you know, we're pushing our skill set, we're expanding our horizons, and we're getting better and we're getting better. I think that one of the things that makes a really good writer is recognizing and acknowledging and learning to be okay with the fact that there's a gap sometimes between where our work currently is and where we'd like it to be. You know, we've all read really good books. We know really good writing when we see it. We know how a great book makes us feel. You know, we know what it's like to not be able to go to sleep at night because you have to read one more chapter. Or to be thinking about a book all day long because you can't wait to go home and read some more and find out what happens next. So if your book isn't creating that kind of feeling for you when you read it, I think that that's a sign that there's still work to be done, that that gap still exists. All of this sounds really good, but you still feel utterly and totally confused, then the next step is that you're just going to have to go outside of yourself. And there's a couple of ways that I would recommend doing this. The first is, as some of you who know me know, I'm a huge fan of writers' critique groups. I think they are incredibly valuable. A good critique group is like gold. I've been a member of several. In fact, I even led one. We met weekly for 4 years, which was a really intense pace, and it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. I think everyone got a lot out of it. And the thing about a really great critique group is that